Magus, web novel, Chapter 512. Preparing for the Gala Part 2. Lith and Solus spent the next few days apart, each trying to find a way to cope with the sense of inadequacy the absence of the other caused. Where Lith was bordering on impassivity, Solus was too emotional. He was as strong-willed as she was indecisive. Even when Tista had brought her shopping, Solus worried more about what Lith would say after checking the prices or about Tista's opinion instead of focusing on her own needs. Tista ended up buying her a lot of clothes that Solus wanted to return at first, only to then spend hours trying on each of them once they were back at the tower. Lith was surprised when Journey summoned him to house Ernest a few days before the party. He gladly accepted so that he could give her his gifts, but went to pick up Solus first. He was certain she would like to meet the Ernest girls again. Also, he really missed her. Neither of them shared the details about their days apart, and simply enjoyed the feeling of being whole again. Solus told him about her own room and the furniture she had chosen, but not bought, for it. Since she could materialize almost anything within the tower's premises, window shopping had been more than enough. As for Lith, he told her about Camilla's issues with the gala and the presents they were about to offer Journey. You really are a cheapskate to the bone, she sighed. Couldn't you just buy something for Camilla and Journey instead of doing the gifts yourself? With all the money we have in our pocket dimension, it's not like we're poor. Solus felt a bit hypocritical, since she was borrowing Tista's words. The difference between them was that Lith really was stingy, whereas Solus felt guilty at spending the money they earned without his consent. It's not being stingy so much as creative. Lith had been expecting her remark, so he had a rebuke ready. Anyone can buy a gift, but that's impersonal. My creations, instead, express how well I know the person who receives them. Besides, feel free to check the market prices. Be they jewels or enchanted items, what I make is worth a lot. Solus had to admit that thanks to Zekel's help, Lith was able to craft small masterpieces by using spirit magic as a mold. Yet it was his ability as a healer that was truly priceless. I wonder why Journey wants to meet you in person. Solus changed the topic, a bit sad at the idea that she couldn't take part in the gala. Even if she had a human form and everyone accepted her as a friend, there was no Monagizer nearby. We are about to find out, Lith replied as they walked through the Ernest's gate. Journey had never revoked the pass they had granted him back when he dated Floria. The room he stepped into was richly decorated for the incoming gala. A pleasant smell emanated from garlands were hung on the walls, but instead of being made of woven flowers or plants, they were made of gold and silver. Several coat hangers were lined up against the walls along with sealed weapon racks for their esteemed guests. Most of them would only bring ceremonial weapons, but some members of the military would refuse to leave their arms home. A single long carpet led from the gate to the double doors of the main hall. It was blue and white, the colors of House Ernest's coat of arms. Lith found a handmaid waiting for him. She was a petite woman in her 30s, with ashen gold hair and clear blue eyes who somehow reminded him of Journey. Her uniform had been replaced for the occasion by a simple but stylish black day dress with white evening gloves. I don't think she's a servant at all, Solus thought with a stupefied tone. She is wearing so many enchanted hidden weapons that she glows like a chandelier to my mana sense. Lith checked her out with life vision the moment she turned around to show him the way. This woman is no mage, but no handmaid either, unless since the last time I checked, house staff is required to have the strength of a professional athlete. She might really be Journey's relative. Maybe she's part of the security, Lith thought. Lith, it's so good to see you again, Journey said with a radiant smile the moment the handmaid opened up the door to her dressing room. It looked like a 5-star hotel lounge, with white walls decorated with gold inlays and many silk-covered sofas arranged around a small table. Several mannequins dressed in Journey's most beautiful evening gowns were orderly put on display in front of a huge mirror covering the center of the north wall. The mannequins lacked heads and arms, so that by standing right behind them Journey could see her reflection like she was wearing the clothes they had on. Lith remained amazed when he noticed that every single wall was actually a finely carved closet, each one filled with dresses, shoes, and hats for every season. The doors separating them were so smooth that he would have never realized their real nature if some of them hadn't been left open. His surprise peaked when he managed to stop calculating how much money was that single room was worth and looked at his host. For a moment, Lith didn't recognize her. Lady Journey Ernest was a petite woman, barely 1.52 centimeters, 5 feet, tall, with blonde hair that extended midway down her back and sapphire blue eyes. She wore a beautiful light blue day dress worthy of the court. Her hair was perfectly curled, framing her face like she had been taken out of a painting. It wasn't the smile, the dress, or the stylish hairdo in place of her usual ponytail that left him dumbfounded. He and Journey had attended several galas together. It wasn't his first time seeing her all dolled up. Journey was a woman in her early 40s, but thanks to proper care and good genes she usually looked like she was in her mid-30s. Now, she would barely pass as older than Camilla. It was like she had suddenly got 10 years younger. Lady Ernest, you're stunning, he said with a little too much enthusiasm, making both his host and her maid giggle. Thanks, but remember that I'm a married woman, young man. She hugged him as he bent down to give her a bow. You're among friends, drop the formalities and call me Journey. You've already met my cousin Dida. She'll supervise the security of the event. My maiden family always takes care of these kinds of events. Dida was surprised by Journey disclosing such details to a stranger, but she didn't let it show. She gave Lith a polite curtsy and left them alone. Where are the girls? I was hoping to say hi and catch up with them. I haven't seen them in months. Lith looked around a bit disappointed. He liked Journey, but she always had a hidden agenda. I asked you to come now precisely because only Lucky and I would be home. There are a few things we need to talk about before the gala. She sighed.